How's everyone doing today? Today is March 2nd, 2021. It's a nice, lovely Tuesday. Atlanta, a nice 60 degrees, a little cloudy. It's one of those kinds of days. We've had some really good profits this week. It's been a really nice week of vindication. We had a lot of calls the last 2 weeks due to the market being down that really weren't doing what I wanted. And I was getting pretty upset because I usually don't have many losers. I am one, me, but my calls, not so much. But the last 3 or 4 days, it's been almost an 89% comeback streak. It's been really good. Today, I have 9 more stocks for you that are going to be really good ones. A few I'm a bit concerned about, and I'm going to explain my concerns with a few of them. Again, just because this market is not solidified as a bull market reversal quite yet, we have no idea. If anyone who says, it's definitely going to crash, sell, 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 sell. Anyone's like, it's definitely going to go back, buy, 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 buy. Don't believe any of them. Anyone who talks in 100% impunity, like I know what's going to happen, they don't. They're wrong, right? I don't know what's going to happen. I know how to hedge my bets and how to find good risk versus reward. I do know that. So just be careful, have your wits about you, be cautious in this market. We have no idea where it's going to go. This channel, that transition, this channel is made for those who are beginners. If you're a newbie, what's up, new kid? Welcome to school, dork. No, that's what I teach high school. It's what it sounds like. What's up, freshman? No, but if you're a beginner, I'm nice sometimes. If you're a beginner, this is dedicated to you to learn technical analysis. If you're ever confused on why you go on the TikTok and the Twitter and on the Facebook and you're like, why did X, Y, and Z call that? Like, how did he know or she know? Because this is not, it's that kind of year. But I want to see many more women in finance. They need to be fit. They also need this too, right? So why he or she is making this call. How does he or she know so much about this? Why did it go up? I'm here to show you how they see that, right? All the beginner technicals, all those types of things. What's a good value? What's not a good value? What's a hype stock? What's not a hype stock? Why ETFs? Why bearish ETFs? That kind of stuff we're going to discuss today for you. Intermediate players, anyone who knows what they're doing, right? You need to diversify. If you have 15 stocks in your portfolio and 15 of them are tech stocks, congrats. You individually bought a technology ETF. That's stupid. And if you have only 3 stocks with 40%, 20%, 20% of your portfolio, again, dumb. You need to diversify, right? I'm going to show you some great, you hear my wrist crack when I did that? Oh my God, I'm getting old. I'm going to show you how to diversify properly and some stocks in all different sectors. We have housing ones today. We have some consumer defensive, some cyclical ones, some tech ones. You need to diversify because when tech shits the bed, but consumer retail ones do really good, you got to even that out. And in a bull market, most times the ups are higher than the lows. And that's how you win. With that being said, if you enjoy this kind of content and the man in his late 20s rambling about stuff, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. You want to see a guy having a quarter life crisis? Welcome aboard, baby. If you like this content enough, do you want to check the Discord? I encourage you to do so. There's absolutely no pressure. I don't want anyone to feel like they're not going to get a good quality product online compared on Discord. It will be a better, more in-depth quality product on the Discord, but you can get plenty from this for free. If you want to have this type of relationship where you just talk to me and through your computer and tell me to stop saying the words, again, and just like screaming at you guys in the beginnings, like diversify. You don't want to hear all this kind of yelling at me. That's great. If you want to have a more in-depth conversation with me and talk to me directly, join the Discord and check it out. I can offer you a trial. You want to do a 7-day trial? Just message me. I got you. Right? Otherwise, let's get in this watch list. I think you're going to enjoy it. Let's check it out. So as we can see above me, we have 10 stocks on our trusty, non-dusty poop list. It's looking really good today. We have 10 good ones. A few you may recognize, and that's because anybody who does for a long period of time will become able to build a relationship with their stocks. I called AMH before. I've called CTSO before. I've definitely called HRTX before, and COR once before, APPF once before, and these I have not yet. Most of you probably recognize, like OKTA, you probably recognize FSLY, right? And the purpose isn't that I'm trying to like swindle anybody, but it's that I built up such a relationship of watching these stocks for weeks, if not months. I know what to look for. And that's not me talking down to anybody, right? That's just my personal watch list. If I were to go to this watch list over here, my big one, I'm guessing about 6 out of 10 of them, you could ask me what it looks like. I can tell you without even looking at it. Right, I could be like, oh, AQST is a horizontal triangle. Unit just crashed off today, but it was an upward channel. RVP was bounced up to 200, and now it's gone up here. Right, I know that BLL is a upward channel, but it's breaking right now. So I can tell you all about these. They're not cheating either. I can tell you all about them without even looking at them because it's been weeks me watching them. So that's kind of why I call the same similar ones sometimes, but again, we throw new ones in there. So if you're curious about that, that's why I'm always doing this. And I always have the same ones fairly often. And again, if you're a beginner, watch the first 10, pick your 1 or 2 favorites. Do not do more than that. Intermediate traders, have at it. The last 9 good ones we'll talk about today, again, are for intermediate traders. If you're a beginner, do not touch them. They are probably more profitable, but also more risky. And I assure you, we do not want to get you burnt out too soon, lose all your profits, and you get upset and quit. You can watch these as educational purposes, but do not intend to buy these unless you have more time to dedicate to them. With that being said, let's get into it. Our first is AMH, and I think it's very, very clear that most of us are starting to pick up the bottoms here, right? You got to make sure what's going on. We can see that we had earnings. What happened? Crap the bed. Earnings. Crap the bed. Earnings. Now it's a little one. I would not be surprised if it takes off more, right? So let's not get too hasty. It is, I called it yesterday right here, and now it's showing some life. It is up only 1.7%. But your first resistance is very close, so be careful about that. But again, to see a 4 or 5% move over a few weeks is definitely doable. I would probably wait to see what it's going to do tomorrow. Maybe we'll have a pullback, depending on the market condition. But it was just an earnings play. We can see it actually did 0.3% or 0.3 cents better. It's doing better than it was supposed to do. And we know there's a dividend out here a few months away. And dividends almost always do well for stocks. Like this one crashed because everyone cashed in and they sold it. This one, you see, ran it up. So we have that in the future. So look out for that one. But just looking at this, it's a beautiful channel up. It was an ascending triangle. It broke it, and now it's kind of resetting what it wants to do. Very low risk, though. Worst case, it drops 2.5%. You cut it, buy back in when it shows some life. So AMH, super easy, super simple, nice beginner stock, right? You may make 4 or 5%, feel good about yourself for holding. You may lose 2. Worst case, a small loss, right? Best case, a medium-sized win. Let's check the indicators. What's super cool is that I do not use indicators while I look through my list or look online for these. It's all price action. Then I can go through the EMA lines, the RSI, stochastic, and our vortex together, and you'll see what I see, right? So we can see off the bat, if we clear everything off, we can see that this is a 200 EMA bounce. That's why I'm calling it. It may be above where you want to get in perfectly, but you have such a strong support here. You have your 200, and you have a support. You're building up. This is our volume line. Everything beneath here is where 70% of the volume usually happens. So we have this pushing new highs, and we also have our trend line. So again, there's like 5 things holding it up. It's safe. The 50, if you want to wait for a cross, you certainly can. But then again, what's your upper mobility? 2 or 3%, 4 on a really good push. Like that's not really worth it compared to other stocks. So when it comes to like risk versus reward and versus opportunity cost, because you buy AMH, you're saying that the money you bought AMH with is better than any other position you could have taken. That's opportunity cost. You put $1,000 in this, you were saying AMH is worth $1,000 compared to any other stock. If you were to wait for a crossover, yeah, it's probably safer, but is it worth it? Not really. So value is a good call here. It is not oversold, but put your cursor. All right, since it's been uptrending, let's just cut this off. Right, since it's been uptrending, let's go right here, uptrend. Where's the reverse at? It looks like it reverses right there at 38. Where's it at? 38. Okay, cool. Right, it just tapped there. That's a good sign. Stochastic has plenty of room to run. Okay, so you'd be like, it's almost out of gas. It has plenty of room to run. Vortex was very low. It came up, it came down, and now it's kind of consolidating. We may see some consolidation happening here. Vortex does that. So with that being said, we have plenty of room to run. It's a great safe stock, beginner stock. If you're new to trading, you may want to check out AMH. It's a good pickup nonetheless. I like it a lot. Next is APPF. This is a tough one because I did some fundamental research on it. It says that the price target's now like 125, 130, and you have to be like, well, shit, that's a year away. So like that's not a great sign. But you also need to understand that when the price target's like 190 and you're down here, you're not going to make 190 in one move. It's going to be like up and down and up and down. The same should be applied to when a stock is collapsing. If a stock is coming down, folks are going to buy and try and get a bounce, right? So that's what we're going to try and do with this one. It's still a great value. And again, in this market, we do not know if the reversal is quite done yet. We had that very good push yesterday. Everyone was huzzah and all happy. But are we out of the woods? No. Now, I will say it did gap down. Big old gap that may get filled. Did this gap get filled? Yup. Did this gap get filled? Yup. Did this gap get filled? It did. Any other gaps that we see that are pretty evident? This gap got filled eventually. This gap got filled eventually. So that's a good sign. If you were to hold long term, you may see 157 get filled. And you may be like, well, it's how long? Well, it's 13% away. It's pretty far away. But this is a great area of support. I wouldn't buy this tomorrow. I wouldn't buy this today. I would give it a day or two. Let's see some green. Okay, last time it had earnings, what did it do? Absolutely shit the bed, and then it consolidated for what? 19 days. It had a big earnings call. It reversed and took how long? 8 days. So we have plenty of time down here. We have plenty of time to consolidate. Although, what are you risking? At most, 2%? Okay, risk 2%, God forbid. Even if it bounces, you should see probably about 4 or 5%. That's a 2-1 play off a bounce. If its first big resistance is 7 away, that's a 4-1 play. You see this gap get filled alone, that's 7-1. So you can see, even though the price target has been dropped by some professionals, it still has plenty of upward mobility. It still has plenty of upward area to be filled. Let's check the indicators. This is pretty obvious with the EMA lines. Both are going to be resistances moving forward. Again, I don't really mention the 10 just because that's like your traditional, oh, it's gone over and held. Now it's considered a, confirmed. It's a good confirmed move. So again, that kind of comes without being said. So these are going to be resistances, but again, how far away are they? Okay, they're both sitting a good 18% away, so not worrying about them right now. Oversold, made money. Oversold. Well, yep, oversold would have made money. Oversold would have made money, but got burned eventually. Oversold. So again, you can see oversold doesn't really give us the full picture, but again, it's really good to buy in and then wait for it to kind of level out, because these reversals are what? Bull shaped. They come down, they consolidate while we have all the EMA lines kind of, so you have some time down here. No, it's not a big deal. Vortex is shockingly not that low. It could be a tad bit lower. I'd probably wait for that. So again, APPF, we're not in the business of catching falling knives. This thing is coming down. You're not going to try and catch the handle while a knife is falling, right? You're going to catch it most times and get cut. So we're going to wait for it to kind of stop. Cooking term, I'm big smart. I went to culinary school for a little bit. So let it come down. If it fucking breaks all this to 130, don't touch it. It's gone, right? But if it does kind of consolidate here, goodbye for sure. Next is AWR. It's very similar to APPF, but again, we have much more historical data saying that, okay, this definitely is a strong support area. Will it come down to 69.52? It's a possibility that may come down here, right? There's maybe a possibility. That's why I put a dotted line. And that's the case, you can definitely throw the bank at it. But even then, looking at that from the 180-day, that's not very far away, right? This is, it's getting down there, and it's also showing some life already. But you're risking, what, 4%? And what's the full move? Easily can make 14. More likely, 6 on the small side. Easily can make 9. A good 2-to-1 ratio. And I always talk about volume profile, but if we pull it up real quick, this is a perfect D shape. Right, this is a little hint onto what my Discord folks get and what I'm giving my class. This is definitely a D shape. You see that? D's equal consolidation. Consolidation means a big move is coming. It does not know which way it wants to go. Right, so we're at the bottom of that. That's a good sign because it means that all this area down here, look at this. See how low this volume is? What's that mean? That means folks are not going to buy it or sell it down here. But what's that mean in terms of bears versus bulls? How many folks, if you saw this, would you want to short this stock right now? Not a lot. Right? If I'm going to be coming down here and be like, yeah, I'm going to short it. Yeah, but again, if you're going to short a stock, what are you going to possibly make? 4%, and what are you going to possibly lose? A lot. So again, we can assume, because there's low volume down here, who's really going to be putting the volume into this? Bulls. And when bulls buy in, what's happened? Volume gets higher, and then bulls get their speed going, and it takes off. Right? So we're in a good area based on volume profile. You're welcome for that little lesson. AWR is a good horizontal channel play. Strong support, low risk, high reward. Let's check the indicators. Both the EMA lines are far away, so I'm not worried about them. They will be resistances moving forward. The 50 will make it there first. Right, we can cross over the 50. It has no problem doing that historically, right? Cross the 50, fine. Crosses the 50, fine. Crosses the 50, fine. So that should be a nice sign of strength. I forget to breathe sometime. I'm going to pass out. No. But last time it was oversold, you would have made money. Oversold, would have made money. Every time it even gets below what looks like 39, you had a good chance of making money. Great sign. And again, the earnings over here, shit the bed, earnings, shit the bed. What do I do? Come back, come back, come back. Stock is consolidating low. That's a good sign that it's, really bottoming out, and then our vortex was dummy low, and now again is super low. So again, it all points to reversal. Do not rush in, okay? If you were to rush in, this is another nice lesson for you. If I were to rush in and buy now, right, what's worse, buying in now or waiting for some sign of life? And again, I think some sign of life on an earnings play makes a lot more sense. That'd be like buying in here when you rushed over, and if I were to, wait for it to confirm back up, it's the same exact thing, right? Because I waited an extra day and a drop down. Now me confirming and waiting is the same as buying in over here and a drop, right? So we're going to give it a little bit of time. Let's give it a day. But AWR is a great setup. I'm pretty partial to liking COR because I called it over here. I was like, hey, it's a good play. And then it took off. I was like, hey, it hit our price target. And then when see a loser and took off for like 20%. Even I was like, the hell is this? Like, I had no idea it was going to do that. So we were back down here again. Earnings was over here, right? It's like, oh, earnings call, crap. And that's taken and just falling down again. You would have got a nice bounce right here. But, it's earnings, so I'm a little bit nervous. So could it get lower? Sure. Always look at the 10-year. We can see that this stock does have a history of really tanking during hard times. So like that March sell-off was really hard for it. Over here is pretty hard for it. It came from being over here again. So just to think, on the 180-day, it's never been lower. Do not think that's the lowest it's ever going to go, because there's plenty of stocks like SSRM. You can see we're like, oh, it's low. It crashed on us. Wendy's was the same way. Oh, it's consolidating lower on us, right? So let's not get ahead of ourselves saying this is the lowest it's going to get. That's not very true. So wrong one. No edits though. So this is still a great deal though, because risk versus reward. It's a very strong support. Our POC's above it. That's gravitational. You can see it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth through it. Maybe it'll drop 1%. God forbid, what are you going to do? You got to call the missus and tell them to sell the house and pack a bag. You lost the 1.05%. Oh, God. No, so it's not that big of a deal. But what's the upper momentum? Easily 4, 5, 6, 10% a full move. It's a really safe pickup. I would even give it to like 112, 110. Really give it a leash, man. If you're really going to be betting, 2.5, 3%, let this bad boy run its course, right? It's a really good pickup. I like it a lot. Let's check the indicators. It has almost a comeback king pattern. That's been a really popular term nowadays, like oversold, overbought, oversold, overbought, oversold, overbought, oversold, overbought, and we're oversold. So that's a great sign nonetheless right there from just looking at it. That's a really good sign. Stock is dummy low. Vortex could be a little bit lower, so I think it's going to really bull and consolidate. Both lines will be resistances moving forward. I have some other stocks that don't have that, but again, these first few earnings seasons, what you got to work with. So really low, there'll be resistances, but everything else looks good. I like it a lot. If we see some green, like don't rush in. If it shows like 4 more red ones, don't just be like, oh, I'm going to catch this the best possible price. You're not, right? Give it a few days, but COR is a great setup. CTSO, not Costco, but Cytosorbents Corp, right? I'm good at English. That's why I teach history and econ, and I have a degree in political systems too. So CTSO is retesting a channel support. Now, it's not perfect, okay? Anybody and their mom could be like, well, actually, it looks like this or looks like that. I get it, but for me, it's kind of like this, right? It makes sense. This is a good-looking channel. Really simple, good-looking stuff right here. And it's retesting it. PSNL did this earlier, made a bunch of money off of that. It's also a strong resistance and now became a support. Surf was a very similar setup where Surf had a nice looking uptick like this, and it had a really nice resistance like this, right? And then it went boop, 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 and then it retested and bounced off it, right? So we're trying to do something very similar to that. Really nice support, and again, what's the risk? That's what we're doing in this time period. We see earnings is coming. All right, it's a week away, so you can make some money, maybe run up to it. But we're going to risk. Okay, maybe you'll risk, 2, 3%. That breaks. Cut it. It's done. It's over. It's kaput. But you could easily see it run up to earnings, a nice little 5, 6, 7% little tasty cake there. Very possible. So very strong support, good convergence. Let's check the indicators. Huzzah, one that isn't going to be stupid looking. So it's a 200 EMA bounce, and again, it just couldn't get over this hump. And then when it did, retest, see ya. So that's really good. It's testing right here. Now, is it below it? Yeah, okay. But over here, was it above it? Yeah, and what did I do? It came back. So let's not freak out about that. No one should be worrying too much. But EMA looks good right here. It's oversold. You would have made money over there. Would have made money over here. So that's a really good sign. Looking good. The stochastic could be a tad bit lower, but it is showing some life. We need that, because if it does break the 200 and the support and the trend line, if we want to just have the stock crash out and go lower, we'll lose that. And then all we have is stochastic. That's not what we want. Vortex is dummy low. And again, look at this reversal. Took its time. Took its time. Took its time. And look at it. It's taking its time. So we should have a nice, very long, good, clean run up once we see it kind of start curling, which it is. So CTSO, a good, safe pickup. Make sure you have a stop loss because earnings makes me upset and nervous. ERIE is one of those stocks that is just a beautiful setup. I mean, you could take this trend line and put it here and say that this is the new angle. And look at it, it's still very close. You could take it from over here and be like, oh, it looks kind of like this then. It's still very close. It's like surgery, SGRY, before. You see this right here? Snack. You see cat? Snack, right? ERIE is in that same boat. Docu is in that same boat of ERIE. Right? And again, you're like, how's he know all this stuff? Because I have no life. This is definitely where you want to be bought in. If you're a premium member, you know that you get these nice little boxes sent to you of where the stop loss and stuff should be. And again, we can see it's right in our loading zone. It had earnings. What did it do? It lived. It did what it was supposed to do. Let's go, ERIE. Had a boy. So it lived the way I wanted it to live. I love ERIE so much. And every time it's actually ran up pretty well. So it's living okay here. It's doing okay here. Now, am I convinced it's over yet? No, don't be like, oh, it survived the first 3 days, it's over. No, but it's definitely in channel. It's definitely in our price target. And again, for a long-term hold, right, it looks really good. Let's zoom out. And again, it's had previous highs, and that's kind of where we're at. Do I think it has a chance of like destroying this and going off? Not really. But do I think that it has a good chance of like consolidating here, making some good money? Hell yeah. So ERIE looks really good. If it does tank, again, you can just move your stop loss to the bottom of this trend line. You know, okay, you lost 2%. Real confident, okay, you lost 5%. But again, you can make 10, 15% pretty easily on this stock. Let's check the indicators. And again, a nice 200 EMA bounce. That's what we called. I was even saying wait for a 200 EMA bounce. It did it. You would have been up a good 5%, and you probably would have held, and now we're down here. So it's holding very well. It can't break the 50. This is a great example of when you could wait for the 50 to be beneath us. If you want to wait for this to take it over and then to retest it, see how it came up and see this. This is hard to see. See how it came up and it went, and it lived? That showed some life. Over here, look at this. And it died, but then, it take off, right? Over here, See how it always tests it? You want to wait for that over here? Ooh, and then test it. That's totally fine. Again, I like value. I'm also emotional with this one. I like it a lot. Stochastic was just super low. RSI was super low. Vortex was super low. And see how consistent the vortex is? Right? We're kind of showing some life. It kind of looks like this over here. Oop, coming up. Over here. Oop, coming up. Like this. We're getting that kind of sign of it kind of making a good move. So ERIE, I'm fairly confident in because I'm so excited. I'm sure it's going to die on me just to spite me for sure because the stock gods will laugh in your face and spit on you. So I think ERIE is a great pickup. Don't jinx it for me, but I like it a lot. Next is HRTX. We called this for a secondary pick last week, and it ran up almost 16%, which again is like, don't get it twisted. I was never like, I bet it's going to run. No, I said probably is going to be a good long-term stock, and it did it the next day, and I was like, well, shit, cool. But guess what? That was a nice run up to earnings. This is now a beat down from earnings, and we're right here in the channel again. This is a very easy read to see. One thing you got to be careful of, and this is what a lot of swing traders and beginners get caught with. When we get close to the red POC in the middle there, that red dotted line, or even in general, there's going to be a high chance of consolidation. So even on this upward trending stock, there's a good chance you may be here for a week, right? And that's going to be hard for some of you to hold this stock. And this does have a history of consolidating for 20 days here, consolidating for 26 days here. And so far we are on day 13. So there's a good chance here we may see some really strong consolidation. I don't want you to get discouraged, but again, have a stop loss. But again, you need to understand sometimes you're buying in to the consolidation. You're buying in with the fact that you know it may go back and forth 4 or 5%, up and down, up and down, up and down. It may be hard on your emotions. So again, make sure you know you're going into this, knowing that POC in the middle will pull you up and push you down. So just be careful of that. See how it's doing this right here, right? So this is a good price to buy into given the POC is pushing us around. In worst case, it goes up to 5.8%. You sell out and you hope it comes back down and do it all over again. So again, trend lines here, supports here, POC is pulling us up. It's making some good moves. I like it a lot. Just be cautious of the POC throwing you back and forth. Let's check the indicators. So it's beneath both of them. We can see if we clear all the stuff out. We can definitely see that the email lines are both above it. So it's going to be a hard task to get above. But right, it is a good, smart idea here. If you want to wait the 3% to cross both of them, if it happens, it's not a bad idea. But I think this is a great value nonetheless. RSI doesn't get too much lower than where it is now in this upswing right here. Let's cut out right here. We'll cut a line right there. Lining line boy right there. Everything right's what I care about. Usually it gets down to where it is now. Right, see that? Where I put the cursor at 37. It gets down there and it reverses just fine. And once it got a little bit lower, and that's okay. So again, this is a good area. Stochastic is dummy low. It's kind of showing a divergence, not really, from like here and up, and then here and down. But again, that's kind of like a... Clicking's being bad. That's kind of a weak one, but it is there, so nonetheless, that's a good sign. And then Vortex is trying to go green, so again, it has a good amount to run up. So HRTX, a good pickup. Therapeutics company, make sure you know what they're doing. If they have an FDA approval date, be very cautious. It could fail and then subsequently die. Next is IAA. This is a goofy looking trend line, isn't it? But go to a year, you see what I see, right? I have to cut through one little wiki wick here, but once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and hopefully 5 times. And this was an old trend line that broke. That was its support, and now it's hitting the resistance. So that's why that's orange and not yellow. So right here at the support area, it's super strong. It's super strong, right? But it is earnings, so again, it ran down. It's consolidating. Will I be shocked if I see it come down like 55, 65? No. Will I be shocked if I see it come down here? No. But I'll be equally less shocked if it takes off here and makes a bunch of money. That's kind of why I'm calling it. So is this a horizontal channel forming? Sure as hell is, right? It looks like it's forming sideways. It's consolidating for a big move that's yet to come. So we want to see it kind of consolidate and then take off. Again, this whole entire season has been about risk versus reward. You can cut it about 2% and feel confident you took a good bet on it. It looks really good. So if earnings is done, if it's showing some life, very low risk, high reward. I like IAA a lot. Let's check the indicators. So it just broke the 200. Let's not freak out because we're usually using the 50. This is another good one. You want to wait for it to cross above the 200. That's fine, but then the 50 may stop it itself. So again, I'll go with value over crosses, but if it does cross above both and you're awaiting, bang, bang, pull that trigger. So RSI is low. It does reverse around this area. Stochastic is low. It does reverse around this area. Vortex is extremely clear on this stock because of how well the nice run-ups are. If you want to wait for it to cross over the 50 and the 200, they have a nice clean run-up. So again, we missed our best opportunity. Probably would have been at 57.96, but anyone can trade perfectly in 2020 hindsight. So let's not give ourselves too hard of a time. It's looking really good here. I like it a lot. It needs to be in your guys' watch list for sure. I like NI even more now with this little green baby candle here. I would have wanted to buy in beneath the volume line, but okay, it's 0.3%. No one's going to lose sleep over that. Let's zoom out real quick. It looks like a nice horizontal channel. Looking at it, it is, right? For the last almost a whole year here, it's been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And all I see is over when it became an IPO, never getting much lower than this. That's a great sign of value. And it has plenty more to run up here. Also, I was watching it up here, so that's funny. So looking at it again, we don't take edits, boy. So we can see that it has plenty of room to run up. And again, it just had its earnings, which made it crap the bed. You may want to wait a little bit more time, but look at it. You can easily make 5, 6, 7%. And all you're risking is about 1 or 2 conservatively. So again, you're talking a 3-to-1, 4-to-1 ratio. If we can get in here, sell at 22, get back in at 21, sell at 22, get back in at 21, sell at 22. Do this 4 or 5 times, your 4% became 16 or 20%. Right? So it's a really good value. It's going to be a slow mover, so I'm not too freaked out about that. And again, you can risk 1.85%, maybe even close to even 2.7 to be confident. But again, you could easily say 4 or 5% in the next few days. It's a very quick mover when it comes to reversals. Let's check the indicators. And what's nice about this, as you can see, when it crosses above the 50 and the 200, right, it got above both, nice big move. When it got above both, nice big move. And again, it's only 4%, so it's a nice big move for this stock. So I wouldn't be like, it didn't make that money. But now the 250 are getting within reach of being taken over. The 200 is going to be your reward target. See how I can't get above it? That's going to be where you want to take your profit at. So right here, talking about 3% and some change. You're risking about 1%, 3-to-1. It's okay. RSI could be a tad bit lower, but showing life, so that kind of makes sense. Stochastic could be a little bit lower, but again, it is showing life, and Vortex is low, which is good. So 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, I like it a lot. It's just that, again, with opportunity cost, I would want my money to go elsewhere. But for a beginner with a 9 to 5 job, NI makes a lot of sense. And last is RNG. This is a nice trend line. It's only survived twice. 1, 2. And you can easily say that it's actually from this one. Bada boom. That's why we say it's only been twice, and that's why it's not a channel yet. I have no idea. I need 3 taps to survive. And you could argue that you can make this into a channel. And be like, well, actually it survived once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. But, I'm a purist. So I like to wait. Earnings, again, you piece of shit. Knocked it really far down, and now it's consolidating where it was before. This gap line is a very strong support. So again, it's right here. Worst case, you lose 2%. God forbid. Best case, you're going to make easily 9%. A big full move, 25, 20%. So very low risk, very high reward, strong support, strong trend line. We're pushing all new volume up here. RNG over here was great. I called it every single time over here. And then it took off and I missed it. So now I want to get back into this baby. It's looking real good. Let's check the indicators. So it's bouncing off the 200 EMA line really nicely. That's a great sign. That's going to give you extra support. So if it does break here, you lost trend support and 200 EMA line. Why hold it? You don't. Snippy, snip, snip. And you can buy back in maybe around 347 and call it a day. The 50 will be resistance, but if you want to wait for a crossover, it's not a dumb idea. But again, I trust the value here more than anything. Looking at it from over here, oversold, overbought, oversold, overbought, oversold, close overbought, over. So again, it's doing the same exact thing as a lot of people like to see, and buy gum we're down here again. So it's a great sign. Stock could be a tad bit lower, but we had some life over here, so that kind of makes sense why it's pulling back. Vortex, again, could be a tad bit lower, but we're showing some life. So the indicators are kind of mixed, but the price action is pure, and the stochastic is a little off, but RSI looks really good. So take it with a grain of salt. But RNG for an expensive stock looks really good. If you're a beginner, once again, I encourage you to stop the video, or you need to change your frame of thinking into being a learner, not an actual buyer, because this is going to be intermediate plays. Yeah, a lot of these make a lot more money, but a lot of these also lose a lot more money, right? So be very cautious with these for sure. But intermediate traders, I have about 9 more for you. Let's check them out real quick. If you're new to the channel, new kid, we know that I don't take off the indicators during the intermediate section because I trust you to make your own price action and go through this by yourself. You're big smart. FSLY is exactly where you want it. Now it's been down here. Okay, it's been down here making 8, 9, 10% moves. You could have been buying these and abusing these, but again, it's right where we want it to be. It's doing what Stamp did today, where I want it to do. See how Stamp the other day was like, oh, I'm right at value. Kerchoo! And took off really nicely. Right, I'm waiting for this damn thing to do the same thing. So again, it's very low risk, right? But again, the price target is still a good amount away. A good 4% to make 20 makes a lot of sense. Everything's still oversold. It's still taking sweet old damn time. But again, it's consolidating for a big move. I hope it's going to be up. GMED has a very, very strong support area right here. It does a good job surviving. And we couple that with the 200, but here's earnings. Earnings coming down and beating the shit out of it. So do I think it's going to hold here? I certainly hope so, because you have plenty of upward momentum. But again, it doesn't have much more besides that. If it had the trend line down here, if it does come down here, yeah, we'll definitely buy it. But again, good looking stuff. RSI's in the middle. Vortex is crossing red. It's just okay. But again, it's a good pickup for intermediate trader to look at, for sure. GRNQ, and again, see what the 200 is? It just broke it. So I don't need the indicators for this one. So we can take these off. We can see price action wise. It's a bit scary. It is. But again, it's a lot like GIL, but GIL is much more consistent in my opinion. If this does hold here, this support area does hold. I say ERIE, it can be anywhere in here. If this does hold and bounces here, this bad boy can be a ripper. Like it can really take off. But again, it also has a good chance of being like, we'll see a nerd and coming down into this area again. So I would not be fully honest if I said I think it's going to survive really well here. I do. But I don't think it's also a surefire thing. And again, for a beginner, it's a bit risky. So again, an intermediate trader, if you can put like a volume indicator, so when it takes off, you can catch one of these, great idea. But beginners, no touchy this one. HELE. I called it over here. It died, and then it came back, and we made a nice, cute little 4%. Not what I wanted, but it still we made some money. 200 EMA bounce again. We're right down here again. It's showing a good trend line. It's supporting itself. All my followers got this information from before. And again, it's low on everything. It's a good pickup. But again, you know, all you got is the 200 and a support area. You know, what's the possibility? 5-6%, but you're risking like, you know, 2 or 3%. So it's not the best risk versus reward. But HELE is very consistent, and it's at a good value right now. HUN is still a dime, right? It did exactly what I wanted to do. It came out and tapped the 200, and it showed some life. So that's a really good sign. As of right now, our price target is still very valid right here, right? If you want to wait for the cross to 50, that makes a lot of sense. But again, you're going to risk 2 or 3% for 4 to 5, but you can hold for a long period of time. It's still a very valid pickup. I just want to see it have more life than this. But if you haven't bought in yet, Huntsman, HUN, is a good pickup. Next is OKTA. This is a really good trend lineup. It's $260, so if you're not, you know, with the cash, sucks. But we can see that's a nice trend. It bounced off the 200 like a beautiful thing right here. Looking real good. Earnings is coming though. Duh, earnings. I hate it. So if it does live, you know, you can easily see 20-30%. If earnings is a piece of shit, which it always is, especially this year, maybe it's going to come down to this area. I don't know. So barring a complete disaster from earnings, it's a really good pickup. It's a 10 out of 10. Both earnings coming. Gotta be intermediate. If you're not intermediate, don't touch this one. As we speak, TRIL becomes a better and better deal. Or is it going to crash? I don't know. It's literally right at the bottom of where I would have put a stop loss. So if you bought in, consider. But you go back out and you can see it's a strong support area. Right in this area, it's very strong. If it breaks down, you better get ready to see some price action down the 886s. And again, we could buy back in there, but just given this, like, you know, this nice channel, it's looking real nice and smooth, right? You can see possibly this kind of like channel down, hitting about here, and then coming back. So again, it's not my favorite pickup. It's not my favorite setup. Now that's broken all this, but again, if it kind of wicks down and comes back up, it'll be a great pickup. But again, a nice intermediate level trade. And last is VIRT. This is a great pickup. It really is. The 200 is right beneath it. Indicators are only in the middle, so I don't love that. But just based off the price action alone, VIRT is a really nice pickup. It's right here. It has plenty of room to run. 5, 6, 7, 8, 10% can really make some big spikes. But again, we're pretty far away from support. So you need to risk about 3%, 3.5% to make about, you know, possibly 3. Not great. But a good move, 5, maybe 10%. It's pretty good. It's surviving earnings just fine. It's a good looking trend line. So again, I think the profit margin is low. If I was being honest, I want to see this thing absolutely eat dirt and just come down to 22, and we can start this bad boy all over again. But I think for a nice bounce, we should see VIRT do a good one here. Was that a lot of information? Yes, it was. But would you rather listen to 35 minutes to someone who's qualified, who has your back, who knows what they're doing, or watch 35 1-minute TikToks of morons talking about stuff they have no idea what they're talking about? You tell me, right? So I appreciate y'all sticking through it. Again, if this information looks good, if this content is fun, if you enjoy the really in-depth stuff, if you're a nerd for this, which most of you guys probably are, you stuck around for 35, 40 minutes of a video about a guy in a blue shirt discussing stocks, and it makes it, you know, it means a lot to you. It means a lot to me as well. So if you enjoyed this, subscribe, like, hit the bell notification. Again, the Discord chat is open, and I have about 250 people. Really enjoying myself with them. It's a great community. Feel no pressure to join. If you like the stuff, feel the pressure to join, right? But I don't want anyone doing anything they don't want to do. It's a really good time. If y'all need anything else, please let me know. Comment down below. Any kind of questions. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another watch list. Thanks.